The bell over the glass door jingled softly as Mia pushed her wheelchair inside the small roadside diner. The smell of frying bacon and coffee filled the air. It was a quiet morning, sunlight spilling through the dusty blinds and painting golden stripes across the floor. Mia always loved this place, Sandy's Diner, not just for the pancakes, but because it was one of the few places where she felt seen, not pitied. She rolled herself to her usual booth near the window, her long brown hair tied neatly in a low ponytail and her sketchbook resting on her lap. She was 22, bright, artistic and wheelchair-bound since a car accident 2 years ago. Her smile was shy but genuine, the kind that could warm anyone's heart. Anyone except the cruel ones who couldn't see past her chair. Behind the counter, Sandy, the owner, waved. "Morning." The usual. Mia smiled. "You know me too well? Blueberry pancakes coming right up." Sandy winked and poured another cup of coffee for a truck driver at the bar. The diner was almost empty, just a few regulars scattered around. But at the corner booth sat a group of local bullies, 3 young men in their early 20s, loud, restless, and clearly up to no good. Their names were Derek, Kyle, and Brent. They were the kind of small-town troublemakers who thrived on attention. They had been kicked out of school years ago, spent their days hanging around gas stations and nights causing scenes in bars. And now, they had spotted someone who looked like easy prey. "Hey, check that out," Derek muttered, elbowing Brent. "The cripple girl's here again, probably sketching flowers or some sad crap." Kyle laughed, loud and cruel. "Bet she draws herself walking." "What a joke," Brent snickered. "Bet she can't even get to the bathroom without help." Mia heard them. She always did. Every cruel word stabbed like a needle, but she'd learned to stay silent. Her therapist had told her to ignore people like that, not to give them the reaction they wanted. So she turned her face toward the window and began sketching quietly, pencil moving delicately over the page. She was drawing the sunlight falling on the ketchup bottle, simple, peaceful. But her hand trembled slightly. Sandy noticed the whispers and frowned. "You boys better behave," she warned from behind the counter. "You don't come in here to bother my customers." Derek smirked. "Just talking, Sandy. Relax." But as soon as she turned around, the laughter resumed, louder this time mocking. A few minutes later, Sandy went into the kitchen to bring Mia's pancakes. That's when Derek got up, grinning wickedly. He sauntered over to Mia's booth and leaned on the edge of her table. "Hey there, sweetheart," he said in a mocking tone. "You drawing me? I know I look good, but you didn't have to stare." Mia froze. "Please, I'm just—" "Oh, she talks," Brent laughed from the booth. Kyle joined in. "What's the sketch, huh? Show us." Before she could react, Derek snatched the sketchbook off the table. "Give it back," Mia said, her voice trembling. He flipped through the pages, laughing at each drawing. Flowers, landscapes, people smiling. "You really got nothing better to do, huh? Sitting in that chair drawing nonsense." Maya's eyes welled up. "Please, that's mine." "Oh, don't cry," Derek sneered, pretending to wipe an imaginary tear. "You want it back? Come and get it." Maya's hands gripped the wheels of her chair tightly. "Stop it," she whispered. But Derek leaned closer, voice dropping. "You think this world's gonna feel sorry for you? Nah. People like you just sit there, waiting for someone to help. Guess what? No one's coming." He slapped the sketchbook against the table, startling her. She flinched, and the sound echoed through the diner. A few customers turned, watching uneasily. Then, in an act so cruel it silenced the room, Derek slapped her across the face. The sound cracked through the diner like thunder. Mia gasped, one hand flying to her cheek. The world seemed to stop for a second. Her breath caught in her throat. She could barely believe what just happened. Sandy burst through the kitchen door, eyes wide. "Hey, what the hell is going on here?" The boys laughed nervously. "She was just out! Get out of my diner!" Sandy shouted, voice shaking with rage. Derek glared, but smirked anyway. "Whatever. This dump ain't worth it." He tossed Maya's sketchbook onto the floor, pages crumpling, and the 3 of them strutted out, laughing. The doorbell jingled again as they left, leaving behind an echo of cruelty and humiliation. Mia sat frozen, eyes brimming with tears, cheek burning red from the slap. Sandy rushed over and knelt beside her. "Honey, are you okay? I'm so sorry." Mia shook her head. "It's okay. I'm used to it." But Sandy's heart broke at those words. "No, you shouldn't have to be." She gently picked up the sketchbook, smoothed the torn pages, and placed it back in Mia's lap. You did nothing wrong. Mia nodded, her voice soft. Thank you. She tried to eat, but every bite tasted like shame. Her reflection in the diner window looked small and fragile. Outside, Derek and his gang revved their motorcycles and sped off down the dusty road, laughter trailing behind them. The few remaining customers whispered to each other, pity in their eyes. Mia hated that pity even more than the slap. She just wanted to disappear. An hour passed. The diner slowly grew quiet again. The sound of the clock ticking on the wall filled the silence. Sandy cleaned the counter, still fuming. Then from a distance came the deep growl of engines, multiple bikes, heavy and rumbling like thunder rolling over the hills. The windows trembled slightly. Everyone turned toward the sound. One by one a group of bikers pulled into the gravel parking lot. 6 of them, massive Harleys glinting under the afternoon sun. They wore leather jackets with a wolf emblem on the back. Iron Wolves Motorcycle Club. These weren't the kind of men small-town bullies wanted to mess with. Bearded, broad-shouldered, their faces carried the weight of the road, hard miles, harder stories. The lead biker, a tall man with gray streaks in his beard and piercing blue eyes, killed his engine and looked around. His name was Ryder, and he wasn't just any biker. He was a man with a code: loyalty, respect, protection for those who couldn't fight for themselves. As he got off the bike, he noticed Mia through the window, the bruise on her cheek, the tear stains, the broken sketchbook on the table. His eyes darkened. Sandy came out to greet them. Coffee for the usual crew, she asked, forcing a smile. Ryder nodded. Yeah, Sandy. But what happened here? He gestured toward Mia. She looks like she's been through hell. Sandy sighed, lowering her voice. Some punks came in earlier. Locals picked on her, slapped her. I kicked them out, but... She shook her head, fury in her eyes. Ryder's jaw tightened. Names, Derek and his boys, she said. You probably know them, the troublemakers from Elm Street. A slow, dangerous grin spread across Ryder's face. Yeah, I know him. The other bikers exchanged looks, silent but understanding. They'd all seen enough in life to know what came next. Mia looked up timidly as Ryder approached her booth. Hey there, he said gently, voice deep but calm. Mind if I sit? She blinked, surprised. Sure. He sat across from her, removing his gloves. I'm Ryder. My crew and I come here every Sunday. I heard about what happened. You okay? She hesitated, then nodded weakly. I'm fine. Just embarrassed. He shook his head. You shouldn't be. You did nothing wrong. Some people are just cowards hiding behind fake toughness. Mia looked down. I just wish I could have done something. Ryder leaned forward. You did the bravest thing you could. You didn't break. That matters. Mia smiled faintly, a tear slipping down her cheek. Ryder glanced at her sketchbook and opened it carefully. You draw, she nodded. Yeah, it helps me escape. He flipped through the pages, admiring her art. You got talent, kid. Real talent. Thanks, she whispered. Then Ryder looked up, eyes hardening again. You said it was 3 guys, right? Yeah, Derek, Kyle and Brent, she said quietly. Ryder nodded. All right. He stood up, pulling his gloves back on. Then I think it's time someone taught those boys some manners. Sandy looked alarmed. Ryder, don't do anything stupid. He smiled faintly. Not stupid, just fair. The other bikers rose from their seats, cracking knuckles and exchanging silent nods. They weren't looking for trouble, but when trouble found someone innocent, they didn't sit back. Mia watched them leave, her heart pounding. She didn't know what they planned to do, and part of her didn't want to know. But another part of her, the part that had felt powerless for so long, felt something new: hope. Outside, the engines roared to life once more. The sound shook the air, echoing through the empty roads as the Iron Wolves rode out toward Elm Street, toward Derek and his gang. Dust rose behind them like a storm rolling in. Inside the diner, Sandy placed a gentle hand on Mia's shoulder. You okay, honey? Mia nodded slowly, staring out the window. Yeah, she whispered. For the first time in a long while, I think I will be. The diner grew quiet again. Only the fading rumble of motorcycles remained, and a feeling that something was about to change in this small town forever.